A reader from Hong Kong who works as an investment analyst bought my book on human extinction, published in Hong Kong. Then he sent me a letter in which he referred to many problems that mankind faces today, some with unprecedentedly serious degrees. After reading my book on human extinction, he wanted to know my idea. I talked about 3 points. In the early stage of the Industrial Revolution in the mid-18th century, the world population was only 0.7 billion, but now the number is nearly 8 billion. This means over 10 times the consumption and pollution. How can the Earth remain as good as before? There are also some issues to be more concerned about. There was only 200 plus years between the mid-18th century and now. What was the GDP growth number during this period? Over 60 times. Over 10 times the population multiplied by 60 times per capita GDP equals 600 to 700 times the burden on the Earth than that at the early days of the Industrial Revolution. We human beings will have lots of 200 years. The growth in both economy and population will be doubled every 20 or 30 years in this way, which means that after over 100 years, the burden carried by Earth will be tens of thousands of times heavier than that of the initial stage of the Industrial Revolution. Let's think about it in a simple way. If things continue to develop like this, we human species will not survive long. This is the first point I talked with him. The second point is that continual economic growth has been driven by scientific and technological advancement since Industrial Revolution. But science and technology is a double-edged sword. It is profitable and at the same time baneful, with equally strong powers at both the good and evil sides. The destructive power can finally exterminate mankind. So a second thought incurs profound fear. In fact, we keep relying on this growth model for so long that the Earth cannot sustain us. Besides, the economic growth model we depend on may exterminate us. This is not a simple question about whether our life is good or not. Do you think that our development can be sustained in this way? The third point is that historians commonly believe that people nowadays are unhappier than ancients, or even primitive men who used to live in caves in the late Old Stone Age. At the time, people lived a simple life. They had more time to rest. But now, we face fierce competition. Our children have to receive education at 2 or 3. They have to study from primary school to senior middle school, and finally pursue bachelor's degree, master's degree, or even doctor's degree. After that, they have to update their knowledge while working. We have to compare ourselves with others, so our life is very stressful and unhappy. The suicide rates in Japan and developed countries in North Europe are very high. Such countries have high economic growth and advanced technology, but their citizens can't get happiness. Why should we seek such growth? In fact, we have been running insanely on the wrong track for more than 200 years. The development model and direction are fundamentally wrong. Our human society should be awake now. It is time for us to reflect on whether we really need such development and whether the direction of development should be adjusted.